Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So in this series we follow opening principles, middle game strategies and the endgame strategies. Today we'll continue with this endgame strategies. Today we'll continue with a very important endgame lesson. Today the subject will be the stalemate in the endgame. So the stalemate position is of course a well-known position, and sometimes it's really good to have a draw because sometimes we haven't played maybe a good middle game. We go into an end game with one piece down, with two pieces down, maybe we are down the exchange, so we can at least hope to get a draw. In order to get this draw, we should be really familiar with some stalemate principles. First of all, in order to get a stalemate position, we should really create this static pawn structures. The static pawn structures mean that we're not allowed to have these mobile pawns. We're not allowed to have some tempos with our own pawns, because then we have a tempo and we cannot get this stalemate position. The other important thing is that you should sometimes really restrict your opponent's king's ability to play. So it means you should maybe place your rook on the second rank or on the seventh rank if you're playing, of course, with the white pieces. So and then really restrict your opponent's king's ability on the eighth or first rank to play. Then your opponent doesn't have a clear path how to escape, and you can do these perpetual checks, which are also very important in this stalemate setups. Well, also very important stalemate thing in stalemate tactics is this recognition of stalemate patterns. So there are these positions with bishops, queens, knights on the board, which you can recognize sometimes and go into this very important draw tactics here. So let's see now a couple of examples of this very important endgame strategy. Here is a game played by Larry Melvin Evans against Samuel Reshevsky. You see Samuel Reshevsky has a good position. He is only one move far away from creating a checkmate here on h2 or on g2. So that's why white has only the possibility maybe to get a draw here, not some winning chances, because this is now a clear winning position. But here white found a very nice tactics. Here queen on g8 was played, deflecting the king on this 8th rank, and now we have king on g8, and now we can play rook on g7. You see, we have now this very important position. We have restricted now the king's ability to go maybe here to the 7th rank, to this, then after to the 6th rank, and somehow to escape maybe, and then we don't have any more this perpetual check possibilities. Now it doesn't even matter if you try something like king on h8. We have a rook on h7 again, king on g8 again, rook on g7. If you try f8, then we have again the same idea. Here in this position, if you take with the queen on g7, again we have now a stalemate draw, because there's no square here for white king, and this is now very nice tactics, which white recognized, and at least he had a draw here. So let's see now another example. Here is a game played by Alexander Bacics against Larry Mark Christiansen, and this is very tricky endgame that was played, because here you see white is one piece up and of course has a favorable endgame, so black can only hope here to get a draw, and here white tried to simplify the position with the move queen on e6. Of course, when the queens are off the board, we can go maybe to a favorable endgame and try to get at least this simplifications, and really don't bother about some tactical possibilities here by black. So here rook on a3 was played, very interesting move, with the idea of course to play this perpetual check here with the rook on g3, then rook on h3, rook on f3, and rook on e3. So this is now a very important position, because the rook has now cut off this very important second rank for the king, so the king cannot escape, and we can try this perpetual checks. Here knight on e8 was played, and here king on h6. We have knight on f6. We have rook on g3. Now king on h1, and now queen on f7 was played by black. And here, well, white tried here rook on d7, because if the queen takes here, then we have a very nice checkmate here on h7. But here black found a very nice tactic. Black played here queen takes on f6, And here white made a decisive mistake. White has still winning chances with the move rook on h7, and then after king on h7, then we can take here really on f6, and this is now completely winning for white. But in the game, white made a mistake and took the queen on f6, and now we have again this perpetual check motif. Here rook on h2, and if you take of course the rook, you see now we have cut off this g file for the king, and now we can do this perpetual checks with the rook. Here rook on h2, g2 can be played, then after that rook on g1. If the rook takes, you see we have again a static pawn structure, which I've mentioned. This is very important because now you see we cannot move this pawn, and these three pawns are static anyway, so this is now really a cool stalemate position here without any pieces on the board. Black can really have a very nice draw here. So let's see another game. It was played by Garry Kasparov against Neil McDonald, and here it's a really complex endgame, many tactical possibilities here, and here in the game Garry Kasparov should have probably proceeded with queen on h4, and after king on g7, then maybe queen on g5, king on f8, then queen on g8 would be the idea, king on e7, and now maybe go here with the queen on e6 and try to create some checkmate patterns here. But in the game here Garry Kasparov played a very bad mistake here. He played the move bishop takes on e4, and now black realized this this stalemate pattern, pardon me. Black realized this stalemate possibilities and played here a very nice move, rook takes on g3. After king takes on g3, queen on e5 was played, and in this position both players agreed to a draw, because in the next move of course you have to take here with the queen on e5, and it's now stalemate position because the bishop and the queen are really restricting all of the squares for the king. So this is now draw. I think that Garry Kasparov was furious after drawing this game, because he had a completely winning position, didn't see this stalemate tactics, but his opponent I think was probably happy after this outcome, because here without the pieces on the board black managed to get a draw here. So let's see now another game. It was played by Israel Horowitz against Max Spivey, and here it's also a very complex endgame because we have still the queens on the board. The problem for white is that we are down the exchange. We have black has the rook on the board. We have only the bishop, and in the game black tried queen on c1, of course, with the idea to simplify the position. When the queens are off the board, we can go into a favorable endgame without bothering anymore in the position, because we have also pass pawn. And here white tried queen on e2. We have queen takes on f4, and now king on h3. Now queen on f3, and here black played a mistake, because black probably thought after queen on f3 that we have now completely winning position, because if the queen takes, then of course we have this very important pass pawn, and now we can go into a favorable endgame because there's no way for this king to catch up with this pawn, and now we can promote the queen here. But in the game white found a very nice stalemate motif. He played simply the move king on h4, and after rook takes on f3 we have now the stalemate position. You see this pawn got immobile because we have now static pawn, cannot move. These pawns were static anyway, and now we don't have any squares for the king. So very nice tactical motif here by white, and white managed to get a draw here. So let's see now another example. It's also really a mistake by black that was played, and you see this stalemate tactics is sort of a sudden tactic that can happen in a chess game. Here in the game queen on e4 was played, now queen on d8, we have now queen on d3, and now b4, king on g2, a5, we have king on f2, a4. You see black has 5 pawns on the board, white doesn't have any pawns on the board. King on e2 was played, a3, now we have queen on b3, now we have d3, king on d2, and now queen on d4 was played. Now we have king on d1, and now queen on c3. Here again white realized this stalemate pattern. You can pause the video and try to find this very nice stalemate tactics. It's really a cool move. Again, we have very important move, queen on g8, and black is forced to take here the queen after king takes on g8. Here we have a stalemate position, and again white was probably happy with this outcome in the endgame, because with 5 pawns on the board, black didn't win this game and only got a draw here. At the end of the video, here it's a stalemate position for you to solve at home. Here we have, you see in the last move, black tried the move rook on b2, and here for you it's to find this stalemate tactics. It's really a good one, and if you have followed all of these examples before, I think you will solve this very nice chess puzzles easily at home. Okay, I hope you realize these ideas. As said, first of all, you should create this mobile, static pawn structures, and then you should really try this restriction of your opponent's king's ability to play, to try this perpetual checks, and to really recognize this stalemate patterns, because they are really common in endgames, and I hope you can realize it sometimes in your own endgames. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this video, and meanwhile you can watch my other basics in chess videos with some opening principles, middle game strategies, and the endgame strategies. And you can also watch my series How to Spot Chess Tactics, in which I show you some effective ways how to realize tactical possibilities in your own games. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you like the content. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.